We are live on YouTube. And let's see if we're live in the right place. Nope, we're not live in the right place.
Let me check that, because you've said that before, that we're not in the right place. It looks like we're live in the right place.
Are we?
Yeah, we're live in the right place.
Well, hi, I'm Slightly Slanted Sleuth, aka Steve. Today, coming at you as a pigeon from Big Ben. And I'm joined today with Jack, my friend, who wanted to talk about the now. So what is the now to you, Jack, and how are you, buddy?
Yeah, I'm all right, man. I'm getting better. I've been dealing with a lot of bullshit. Well, not bullshit. I wouldn't. That's not fair to say that. I've been dealing with very difficult life lessons. I guess I think what the test of the element of fire, where God basically wants to know if you're prepared to give up that which you love the most, and God will make it happen and see how you respond to it. So yeah. So we're live, yeah?
Yes, we are, sir. And we sure are in the right place. I'm trying to get my freaking avatar to work right. I got this damn snap camera on and I can't figure it out.
Kermit the Frog.
Kermit the Frog here. I'm in the wrong place, ain't I, guys? Is this the right stream?
I'm sure it's right.
Good. Michelle can't answer. I don't think Paul is in the house.
Yeah. There's not many people watching. So, yeah. Oh, no, build it and they'll come.
Yep. And, you know, it's pretty smurfy where I'm at.
Yeah.
So we're overlapped with Andromeda 7 Portal having a live stream.
I don't know who that is. I've never checked out that person.
It's 7 girls that are part of the Soul Tribe community and pretty cool.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So, yeah, what are we going to talk about? I don't know.
Whatever you wish, brother. Whatever you wish.
I mean, I don't know. You can talk about anything you want, really.
Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about.
Well, I did have a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun trolling sheeple over the last week, basically. And that sounds bad, but it's not as bad as you think. So the aim of the game was to basically go on like social media and like academic boards and stuff, and basically say that the governments, this more pertains to like Britain and Europe and stuff, but basically go on and pretend that like the governments were being weak on COVID and they needed to be more harsh and shut everything down permanently. So it's kind of like reverse propaganda. So I was part of a group doing that, pretending to. So basically, you basically parrot the mainstream narrative, but you take it to a darker place, right? And it was successful because a week ago, the Irish government were talking about further lockdowns, and then they stopped it today. They opened up the country again, and they had the most severe lockdown in Ireland. So, yeah, that's something I've actually been learning about of late. Is it pertains to the word, of course, but how what I realized, evil's chief weapon of manipulation is to manipulate language. That's how it will do it. It will manipulate language. But the great thing is you can play the same game against them. So, for example, I could walk into a store without a mask on, and they could be like, hey, you've got to wear your mask. And I could say, but I'm transgender. You can't make me work. What, are you a transphobe or something? I've done that. And they look at you like, oh, fuck, he's just put us in checkmate. Like, I I had a friend. I had a friend like who's black, and I said to him, "Hey man, like next time you go into store, be like, hey, I'm not wearing a mask because I'm black and it's racist." So basically, all the political correct bullshit you could, like, all the public intellectuals have like tried their hardest to stop the momentum of the woke movement, and they failed. And that's because they've been approaching it the wrong way. You have to use their words against them. And yeah, that's what I learned in my second dark night of the soul, I guess I've been going through. And the words don't mean what they would in Webster's dictionary and stuff. They mean something else.
Elaborate on that. What do you mean by that?
Like, for example, when they say, oh, we want diversity and inclusion, it means that they actually mean our agenda is included, and we have one of our lobbyists in every institution, or our agenda is diverse because it's spread throughout all of society. That's what it really means. And when you realize the words that they're saying, these buzzwords, don't mean what they do in Webster's, the whole game becomes clear, and you realize how evil and sinister it is. And I saw this guy made a good example. He said, like, the politically correct ilk are basically like the orcs, and like people like us are like the free peoples of Middle Earth. I thought that was a very good analogy, actually. But and here's another point. I bring you on to this point, Steve, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like if there's lots of angels incarnated on Earth at this time, right? Would like the law of polarity not suggest that there's also demons incarnated on this plane simultaneously?
Well, to me, I guess I don't let that. For me, I don't even.
Here's the point. Is that the angels don't really care about all of this bullshit.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was going to get at right there.
But the demons do. And it's like the way to like fight them off would be not to like be an activist and protest. You just have to use their own language against them. So you use the word against their corruption of the word, basically. And it's actually quite a simple game, and it works. You don't have to like, the tongue is mightier than the sword. It's absolutely true.
Well, words are swords.
Well, words are swords as well. Yeah, if you take the anagram. So yeah, that's kind of in the dark depths that I've been hovering in of late. That's the lesson. That's one of the lessons that I learned. And the other lesson I learned, that if there's unequal weights and measures, it's an abomination, and that is true as well. That's in Proverbs. So
Black Illuminati says to even speak their name manifests them. And to a certain extent, I would agree with that. But on the other hand, each of us has to go through the discovery of what that means to each one of us in order to come to the same conclusion in the end, that it what does it matter, really?
Well, it doesn't matter. And it doesn't literally matter as in physical matter, because
exactly.
I mean, it's this is another thing I've learned in my tribulations of the past 6 months, is that like, and I realized this when our cat died a couple of years ago. I was really distraught by the cat dying, and I don't know. Oh, that's a tortoise. You're having fun with the graphics, aren't you?
I'm trying to find one where I feel comfortable with, but I'm just not finding it because this one's kind of goofy.
Yeah, that one's odd.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, you look like a character from Lord of the Rings. Is that you making the noise or the pigeon?
No, that's me.
Oh, okay, that was quite good. I forgot what I was talking about. I was talking about something. Yeah,
Dark Night of the Soul.
Yeah. So, oh man, I've completely lost my train of thought.
Sorry, bro. No, I had just made repeated a quote by Black Illuminati who said, "To even speak their name manifests them."
Well, that's what happens in Harry Potter, isn't it? It's like he who must be not be named. So like, yeah, but like what you do, like I said earlier, you play their own game against them. So you use their language, but you do it in a sarcastic way. So it's like rules for radicals, but you're not serious. Your intention behind the words is very different from what you say. And I was part of this kind of like Cambridge Analytica / underground 4chan troll network, and it worked because you can't tell normal sheeple people, you can't quote like facts and figures and give them data. So the best thing to do is use reverse propaganda.
See, the way I see the them, they, sheeple.
I'm talking about governments.
No, I know, but anytime that phrase comes up in my mind, you know, this is me from my perspective, is you create difference, you create a separation between you and whoever, you know, by saying them, because and I know that if somebody doesn't think as we do, we think of them as different.
Yeah. Well, on that note as well, I like, here, can you just pick one and can you just go to your normal?
I'm trying to right here, bro.
Your normal camera.
I wasn't even paying attention. There you go.
Yeah, that's better. Because yeah, so no, what I noticed is that I've got like Chiron in the 11th house, and that's like society at large, basically. And Chiron is like where you've been wounded in your past lives and where you need to heal. So people with Chiron in the 11th house, and Gemini as well, which is like the communication archetype as well. So like the mainstream media, if I pay attention to it, it really, really like has a negative effect on me, particularly more than other people. And if I lose track of the path, then it really starts to like bring me down and like fuck me up, basically. And yeah, that's why I kind of, it was what Phil said that really made me it was like a spell I was under. And Phil, I think his quote was like, oh, matter is no, he said matter is very uncertain, you don't know what's going to happen, but spirit is complete certainty. And I was just like, oh damn, yeah, that's true.
Well, think about the statement "truth of the matter." You know, I mean, just that word "matter" in and of itself is all-encompassing, meaning that it's an action, it's a state, it's a thing, it's being, it's, I mean.
Well, does that mean Black Lives Matter then, or not?
Well, of course they do. All lives matter.
No, I mean in the context of what you're saying.
Well, yeah.
Like, do our lives actually matter?
Well, they are matter, aren't they?
Well, no, surely they don't matter, because.
No, I mean they are matter though.
No. I'm talking. See, all lives actually don't matter because they don't exist permanently in matter.
Well, there is no matter, as a matter of fact.
No, there's matter, but the matter is, it comes and goes. It's here and there. It's kind of smoke and mirrors. You don't really know what's going on. And that's my point, you know.
Nothing else matters.
Why don't I start a counter propaganda movement saying all lives don't matter?
There you go. Yeah, you guys are confused. Your life don't matter. But how many people would get pissed off about that?
And if they're like, oh, what are you talking about? I'm like, well, it doesn't matter because you're going to die one day.
Right.
No.
Well,
someone said that to me at work. Someone said to me that at work. They're like, oh, we're all going to die. And I was like, well, yeah, eventually we will. And he was like, oh, I didn't mean it like that. I was only joking. So.
Nothing else matters.
Yeah, so what were we going to talk about?
We were going to talk about the electroplating of my face.
Yeah, that one's weird.
All right, I'm done.
You had your fun.
I played this one out, but hey, pussycat, I say meow.
Hey there, pussycat. Yeah.
All right, I'm done. There you go. The stuff George and Carlin told us about decades ago. Yeah,
There's a
right.
big club and you ain't in it.
Yep. Or the one about matter. He says, he says the world ain't gonna change, or the world ain't changing. We are.
Yeah. What's Mr. Mensa
Or no, the
saying?
word ain't, or the world ain't going nowhere. We are.
Oh yeah, I listened to that. Yvonne had a video about that like old Christian song, and
Yeah, and
the lyric was, "I can't feel like home in this world anymore. I'm just a passing through," or something like that. I listened to the original version of that song, dude. And I was like, "Oh my, this is like an amazing song. These lyrics are like deep, you know." So yeah.
what's up, Mary? How are you? And what is Genevieve says? Everything is a miracle, or nothing is. Depends perspective. I would
Well,
agree.
this is it. You know, perspective is really everything.
Well, think about that. Perspective in that word, perspective is personal. You know,
Per is through,
Yep.
and spective is like, you know, spectacle, spectator. It's like what you're looking at, you know.
Yep.
So it's like perspective. Yeah, it's interesting when you break that word down. But yeah.
In all that's I'm gravitating towards the English is actually English. You know,
Yeah.
it's like all of previous language all lumped in. It's just like how the concept of America is the melting pot. English is the melting pot for all language. You know, it all comes together there. If you think about it, it's mostly Latin based. I know that, but I mean, Latin is from, based from Hebrew or Sanskrit, and it all comes down. And people say that, well, you can say these words are like, okay, like Bethlehem, the house of bread, right?
Right.
Well, that's a English translation of what is the word? I can't remember, but anyway, it's
Where'd you
all
go?
it's all linked to what it still originally meant. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like
well
the original word is still, you know what I'm saying?
yeah, no, and this is my point. This is why the, MO of evil is to basically corrupt language. And I mean, the Western world or the Anglified world, people have become like complete cowards over the fear of saying like something wrong against like woke people. When all you have to do to defeat when you argue with a woke person, all you've got to do is say you support pedophilia, and that's it, and that kills the argument, because that's where this agenda's going. It's about allowing children to identify as adults, and then they can basically have relationships with older people, and if you are against that, then you're a fucked up person.
Yeah,
So that stops it. No, that's
any of that stuff though.
well, no, I know you don't have to pay attention to it, and this is my point that I made earlier. It's like the angelic breed of soul, they don't really care about the zeitgeist so much, or like this transient stuff. It doesn't really matter. So, but I still like, yeah, like my
Well, I'm
point
not
is
saying
my
that
point.
I
This is
condone it
my.
or anything, but
It's
you know
just
what I mean.
yeah, my point is that it's the corruption of language, the deliberate intentional corruption of language that is very insidious and very sinister. And I like, now I figured out the game that's being played. It's like, it's like I said, I went into a store without a mask, and they told me I had to put a mask on, and I said, "You're oppressing me. I'm transgender." And they couldn't say anything back. They just looked at me like, oh, okay, well, shop around then. It's fucking insane. It's totally insane. Like,
Right.
they should said, I don't care, put your mask on or whatever. But yeah, it's weird, Steve. I don't know why.
Is not the whole world going weird right now?
I don't. To be honest, I don't really care.
It just sounds like you do.
Yeah, fractal truths. Yeah, Good to see you, Fractal Truth. He's in the chat. I go back with him a long way, but no, I just find it irritating, Steve. But not. How can I put this? How can I put this in a way that allows me to keep my cool and not show emotional investment in life? I guess it's just ignorance, isn't it? Like a base level of ignorance that perpetuates the nonsense.
Well,
I don't
most
know.
people are more concerned about putting food on the table and getting what they want out of life in the physical, and they don't even factor in the nothingness that we truly
Yes. On the see, on that point, I was watching Kevin O'Leary, who was like one of those investors on Shark Tank, and he said something that was he was trying to come across as saying something very profound, but like as a mystic, I was like, that's not profound. That's like selling something short. So he said that to be an entrepreneur or an entrepreneurship is the pursuit of freedom. That's what he called it, because you can earn enough money from having a successful business to retire and not have to answer to people and just pay off the government and just be free and live your life. And he made this like really compelling case that he really believed is like, that's what it is. And I'm like, no, like to be an entrepreneur is not the pursuit of freedom at all. Like to be a mystic or somewhat like occultist is the pursuit of freedom, but really a mystic, because the only way you can pursue freedom is through mysticism in truth. Because all right, you can, as I can set up a business tomorrow and I can make $100 million in the next 10 years, hypothetically, but I'm still not going to be free and I'm going to die. And that money, if I leave it to my family, will be gone in 3 generations if they're not, continuing it properly.
with it, yeah.
So, I mean, like, I get the point he's coming from, but he's coming from like explicitly a temporal perspective. But freedom is not a temporal thing. It's a mental thing, and it's also a spiritual thing, more importantly. So, and I'd see all these comments going, judging from the comments, they're like, oh wow, Kevin O'Leary, so wise. And this goes to Kali Yuga. Like, I don't dislike Kevin O'Leary. I think he's a cool guy. But all these comments, he's being revered. And I'm like, this is some Kali Yuga shit, like where men of great wealth are deemed to be wise. And what he's saying lacks wisdom. I mean, he's intelligent and it's true to a certain degree, but only from like I said, a temporal perspective. So I thought that was interesting.
Timeless Truth says, how many are blind to their own self-ignorance? And I have met a lot of know-it-alls. I've been a know-it-all. Pick me. I've been one. Where I thought everything I said was the truth, and my truth was the ultimate truth. And, there is only one truth, but there's many paths to that truth.
Well, if you think like there's many spokes on a bicycle wheel, but they all lead to the center of the wheel. Do you know what I mean?
That's a good analogy. That's perfect.
Yeah. And but like I said, there's the convergence, isn't there?
Right. And Menza says, what is he talking about? The weird world, end of Yuga, end of Pisces, end of many cycles, always turmoil between old and new. Oh man, I had a really dark thought about Kali Yuga. I was like, damn, what if it's like always Kali Yuga? And like that's part of the hell of it, is that like you think you're gonna get out of it, but you're in it eternally. It's like a Christian hell perspective, like eternal hellfire and stuff. Yes, but recently I've come to the conclusion where I'm not going for a prize. I'm not going for a destination. I'm not seeking the out. I'm just going to be, and I'm going to try to exemplify what I want to personify. You understand what that means?
exemplify what you want to personify. Yeah, I understand what you mean by that. Would you want to elaborate on that? Are you not on camera anymore? Are you off camera?
Right. I just had a tooth pulled, and my
No, you look good without tooth.
speech in my mouth isn't working right. So I kind of feel a little self-conscious about that.
No, you're good.
Okay, Jack. How's that? Is that better? Now you can see I'm a pussy cat. You didn't find that funny, Jack?
Yeah, no, I've decided that like I don't know what's going on in like the world. I have no idea. I really don't. And I like yeah, like I got into like the financial world. It was like an escape. I was using it as an escape. And everyone's making a prediction about what's going to happen, but no one fucking knows what's going to happen.
That's always the case. There's always doom, gloom, in the room. I mean, there's always going to be that in the manifest physical world, because we are born with the thought. Well, not born with it. We develop it after we develop our id or our identity that we're going to die, and we think that we are the person that we think we are.
Yeah.
When in actuality, when we develop that persona is nothing more than in input. And that persona is precisely the thing we see the world through, that persona, that perspective, that lens. And that is essentially why I think we are here to add to the Akashic stream of the consciousness that we all are. Because I think we are all receiving the same signal. We just all interpret it differently because we are all in perspective, personal perspective, singularity sense, singular identification, or it's not identification, but singular perspective in the whole.
Yeah, no, I think you're right in that we're all receiving the same signal, but you got to factor in like noise and distortions that come into everyone's signal. And like the biggest one that I can think of, the biggest distortion that like warps reality would be like the media. And I realized that when the internet came out, the media actually died in the early 2000s. Its business model was no longer sustainable. So they just became a propaganda sales, basically. It's like, let's not report on what's going on. The highest bidder will say what you want us to say. And that's what happened. It's really bizarre that happened, but...
Well, I think what's happened is the media has turned sensationalism into news. And
there's a generation of their own news, because if they can fuel the flames of polarization and it can kick off, then they can report on it. So it's like now the business model on one side is propaganda, and on the other side is manufacturing future news by propagandizing and polarizing and like I said, fanning the flames. It's fucking stupid, man. Like, it's so dumb. Like, what a waste of time and life.
Well, I have a theory about that, because the whole Schumann resonance and the correlation between 7.83 billion people on the planet and 7.83 hertz as the Schumann resonance. And you know what happens when you're in resonant frequency with something, like that bridge, that Tacoma, Washington bridge that was in resonant frequency with the wind, remember it?
Oh, yeah, it collapsed. Yeah,
I
built an AM radio before, and when I was like testing the resonance of it, when you dial into a resonant frequency, the amplitude like gets massive. So like, it generates, it like becomes like much louder, basically. That's from an audio perspective. But yeah, I still get, I don't want to bang on about semantics too much, but people talk about like the one that really irritates me is like, I'll raise your frequency, like raise your vibration. It seems to be it doesn't make any sense from a mystical perspective. But that's New Age, man. New Age is like New Age. It's like Reiki's fashionable, but Reiki's actually Japanese demonology. How many people who are into Reiki actually know that? Probably not many. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, the whole raise your frequency thing, and you, I
Is
think
that noise? Is that sorry? Is that noise coming on that feedback on your end or mine?
this is my
Oh, it's a bowl, Tibetan bowl.
yep, Tibetan singing bowl. Yes, Gerald, Thoth is still alive. I seen him in a stream not too long ago, a couple days ago. But yeah,
Yeah.
I would the Thoth. It's always nice when Thoth shows up. So it'd be nice if he shows. But yeah,
Yeah.
hey Gerald, nice to see you here, brother.
Yeah, back to that point about people going, oh, I think this is going to happen in the future. Isn't that like it's kind of like an ego thing? It's like, oh, I'm so great and I'm so brilliant. I know what's going to happen, even though you don't know what's going to happen.
Nobody
You
does,
trick
really.
yourself. You deceive yourself into thinking you do know what's going to happen, and really no one knows what's going to happen in the future. However, though, on that point, I'd say like a very good, competent astrologer will be able to show what archetypes will be more potent in like upcoming psychic weather and
What
stuff.
energies are coinciding to steer the collective? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was watching this Richard Dawkins thing, man, and God, he's so fucking stupid, isn't he?
Richard
Like,
Dawkins? I don't know.
yeah, he's like really, really stupid. Like, I can't believe how much of an idiot he is. I don't know why he's revered so much, but oh God, he makes them like worst arguments for atheism. It's so bad. I find it like, oh my God, like, I don't know. I don't know why I brought up Richard Dawkins.
What is Richard Dawkins? What is he? He's an atheist, right?
No, he's a
Agnostic?
I call him an evangelical atheist.
Oh yeah.
My my beliefs are correct and you're wrong, and I need to convert you to my beliefs.
Yes, the crusade type.
That's his yeah, it's very Christian in his like methodology. I remember reading one of his books, and it said in the opening like page, I only got like one chapter into his book. I couldn't take it anymore. It was too stupid. But he was like, he starts by positing the question, we all have our pet idea of where we think religion comes from. And then he goes on to like argue like how we don't know where, like he made some argument where religion actually comes from. And I'm like reading this, I'm like, God, this guy is so like bereft of wisdom. I find it incredible. How can he like another Kali Yuga thing? How comes like stupid?
Even he has a path, and that path that he's on is as true as and honest as yours and mine. I mean, that is the point, and not to be literal, but we each are a point in time, in a timeless nothing that is something. That's
right.
it sounds convoluted or whatever, but I mean that's how I can envision it or try to articulate how I see the existence and what we are here to do. And each path has its own gate to go through, and each path has its own time to come to fruition. And the light within us can only shine if that light is found within you, by you. And there's no other person, no other thing, nobody can tell you that it's right here. Go get it.
No, also to add to that though, Steve, I think if someone is like walking armor and like serving their purpose, even if it's like a mundane purpose, their God-given purpose, then they also like will in a sense like that. I found the what was it? The etymological root of the word charisma means gift from the gods. I thought that was very interesting.
That's pretty pertinent.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I thought that was very interesting. You know, so
Yes. And the whole path or narrow path or eye of a needle concept, that's been handed down through all kinds of you know mythos or religions or texts. That whole concept of the narrow gate is it's because of we're all have a personal perspective.
mhm.
And
So
that's
here, let me posit this then. Do you think that there's 7.83 billion people, you say, and you relate that to the Schumann resonance, right? Do you think that out of all those people on the earth, every one inhabits its own sentient soul? Or do you
yes, I think
reckon it's more like, or
anybody
do you
that is
reckon
in
it's
the consciousness of the now of what we are, yes, everybody has a soul. I don't think there is no
but no, this is where I bring up
I
the
don't think
argument.
there is no non-player character, whatever they call it, or that whole.
Yeah, NPCs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think
Because it
I don't.
seems like I bring this back to Dawkins. It seems like his argument, he's arguing from a state of like soullessness. That's what it seems like to me. Like,
People like that. It's like Wayne Steiger today. I tuned into one of his shows, and instantly, the dude's got a good head on his shoulders. He was a priest or pastor or somebody that was in leading a church at one time in his life, and now he's totally against religion, totally against God because he thinks God is something that's outside of us and that brings wrath upon the earth. When God is everything. God
what,
is
like Old
omnipotent.
Testament kind of God.
Yeah, that whole thing, and how the carnal mind can mislead you to understand the Bible in them terms. And the second he said that we were in quarantine, boom, I was done listening to him. Because that's nonsense. We are
What
in
did
hell
he mean
here,
by,
of course.
what did he mean by
By quarantine, he thinks that some entity out there that is beyond our control is holding us in prison here.
what, like Jafar or someone like that?
Something like that. I don't know. Maybe soul farming. I have no idea. But me and him have come to odds or come head to head over this sort of thing before, where
Yeah.
it just propagates fear in your mind. Yeah, and it tells you that you're stuck in the meaninglessness of death. And because if you're always walking the green mile, dead man walking here, and that's all that's on your mind, and you haven't risen above because we're all gonna freaking die. Get over it. That's a fact of
Yeah.
life. That's
Just on that point, this is something I was exploring of late as well, because you said we're all going to die, right? And I've noticed like all the most famous, wealthy, like billionaires on the planet, they're all like really, really, really down with like the transhumanist agenda. And it's crazy because it basically, they believe that so that which is begotten has to die, basically. That's an inescapable consequence of material existence. Okay.
yes.
And there's people like Elon Musk, for example, they believe that with technology, death can be overcome. And now all this money and research and these lobby groups are popping up like on this whole thought. And I was reading these quotes from all these transgender people, and they're so funny. Like this one, there's this quote here, this guy called Jean Baudrillard, the transparency, in his book's called The Transparency of Evil, Essays in Extreme Phenomena. He's got a good quote here. His quote is this. It's funny. We are all transsexuals, just as we are biological mutants in potentia. This is not a biological issue. However, we are all transsexuals symbolically. And it's like, no, we're not all transsexuals symbolically. We're all female
symbolically. That's wrong. Like,
but the Father is within us, though. That's what I think he means by
okay,
that.
so I get that, but this guy's not.
Wouldn't that be called androgynous more than?
This guy. Well, no, he means transsexual is changing from one to the other.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Like, and okay, that can be. You can say that's true for men. Men are all symbolically transsexuals in a way because they have to ascend, and you're symbolically feminine in the moment of ascension and enlightenment. But women know.
Feminine.
Women know. Women are like born women, and they stay women when they ascend, right? So, yeah, these
from womb to womb we travel onward.
Yeah, these transgender people are like horrific in their like lack of wisdom. I couldn't believe like how fucking stupid they are. Like, and yeah, I think they're on a very.
I'm not saying Wayne is wrong by any means, and I'm not saying he's fear mongering. I'm just saying when I hear somebody say that we're in quarantine, it doesn't register with me because that's nonsense to me. That's my opinion. You know, I don't think we're in quarantine. I think this is hell. I think we are in this struggle to become heroes. We are in this struggle because if there wasn't a struggle, if it was all unicorns and rainbow, it would all be in repetition and vain, and it would be purposeless. There'd be no reason. And what is reason?
Well, isn't that the first existential crisis of God? Isn't like
the fallen have to climb something, right? You have to fall in order to rise. And I that's how I see it. We are all fallen from the state of God, you know, of our true self.
Yeah.
God to me is yours, mine, Mary's, Wayne's, all of us, all of our one true self, you know?
No, right. Okay. Yeah. But here's my point on that is like, in the moment of initial self-awareness of deity, does that come coupled with a existential crisis? Because like it's like, okay, what am I going to do? It's like, the realization of existence. It's like, oh God, I've got to do something about it now. And I think that's what really the fall is. Like the fall of man is like talking about. I know it means you're begotten into flesh and creation of the material universe, but like it comes with this, like, I think maybe that's what gives rise to it. I don't know. It's like, and then you've got to embark on the great work to get back to like your like true self, basically. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm getting at. And I'm trying to do the screen share thing here and it's not going to show us. It's just gonna.
Who's Wayne, by the way?
I got to do this. Huh?
Who's Wayne?
R. Wayne Steiger.
And then you've got that dude. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good dude and everything. You know, I know he means well and everything, but I mean, he says things like we're in quarantine and there's a God that's against us, and if God was this, why would God do this, and why would God be so evil? Like God is something outside of us when it's not the truth. God is within all of us, right?
That's the divine spark. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, I don't want to turn this into, you know, a bash on Wayne, because I like Wayne, you know, he's a good dude. And I just, you know, his path is as valid as the next. And that's the point of it, you know, in literal sense and in metaphorical sense, that we are all singular points in time in a timeless void, you know, because we are time itself.
Yeah.
Without us, time would not exist. Because time is only the means in defining timelessness, if you can follow that thought, you know. It's like the event horizon is really the singularity. That's how it all, you know, it's funny that the biggest epiphany I ever had was how black holes are connected to creation, you know, and it's the most obscure thing. It's like the missing link in our DNA.
Well, like if you think of an internal combustion engine, the gas or the petroleum, diesel, whatever, creates the movement, but then it's also destroyed. The hydrocarbons are destroyed in that process as well. Do you know what I mean? So it's the conversion of the potential to death, basically. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah.
Repeat what you just said again.
I can't remember what I just said. I was using an internal combustion engine as an analogy for the expansion of to like extrapolate that over the expansion of the universe, but also the collapse or breaking effect of the expansion of the universe through black holes, you know?
Well, you think of us as the singularities of a black hole, meaning that
See, I don't know what you mean by that.
The singularity is the thing. The singularity is the thing that the expansion emanates from, right? And it's the thing in which the expansion is brought back into. You know, like a collapsing star. A collapsing star dies, and that's how it becomes a black hole.
Through my experience of singularity is experiencing everything at once, with like coupled with felicity. That realization also came with like boundless joy and felicity, like an indescribable emotion that I've never felt again. And
yes,
like
that's the all-encompassing love that God is. I mean,
yeah, it's a samadhi experience.
Yeah,
yeah.
Through the heart, the mind is born, or the pineal. You know, the light of the hereafter is the light of the world. You know, there's a reason why in the Vatican, there's in their central courtyard, there's a big freaking pine cone in the middle of two peacocks. You know, why is that? You know,
I don't know what I don't really understand what game they're playing at the Vatican. It doesn't really make any sense.
It's not a game. It's something that is known to people that are. It's the veil, you know, because we
I'm
in
not
our own
talking about
ignorance, we won't accept anything that is unimaginable or that we can't wrap our minds around, you know.
No, I'm not talking about like the symbolism that you describe, like with the pine cone and stuff. Like it just seems like awfully politicized, the Vatican. It's just like become a political thing, you know, and maybe they derive their political power from occult and esoteric symbolism as well, you know. I'm just theorizing, but that's when I say I don't know what game they're playing. It's like, what? It doesn't make any sense. You know, they got unbelievable wealth, the Vatican. Do you know how many Catholics will leave their estate to not?
Well, is that not the thing that has corrupted our world? Money.
But here, see, this is the thing that I was mentioning the other day. There's nothing wrong with money, and like if money has like a fixed supply and a fixed value, and there's equal weights and measures, then it wouldn't be so corrupt. But because we have this fiat system of central banks, see, here's something that really annoys me, Steve. Here's something that really, no, it doesn't annoy me, but it's just some ignorance that I spot. Like people bitch about capitalism and they go, oh, it'd be much better with socialism. Capitalism sucks, blah, blah, blah. We don't live in a capitalist financial system. We live in a socialist financial system.
We live in a rabbit carrot.
No, but here, let me finish the point. Because like the idea of a central bank is straight out of Marx's manifesto.
Well, right.
If we had a true free market and we didn't have this corrupted monetary system, then the free market to like wealth and creation of wealth would be basically like what the internet was to the flow of information and like the creation of like information and stuff like that, you know. So like,
what you just
you know,
described is like how Google is the central entity for information now. You know, like the central bank is for money.
yeah, or Twitter, or what's the
Yeah.
other one?
I mean, where do you
Facebook.
get your information? You Google it. You don't know. People don't even know what a
I
dictionary.
actually, I duck go it now.
Same thing. But they come from the same server. People are crazy when they think that, you know, all of this, all of DuckDuckGo and stuff aren't all interconnected through the same server links, or, you know, the same servers, because all the information is stored in you know, the same servers. You know.
Yeah,
That's-
well, isn't like browsing and internet data more valuable than like oil and
Nowadays,
gold
yes,
now?
nowadays, yes, they buy and sell us like cheese. Mary says Mary had said something back here about what did she say? What was it? She said vortex. What did you say again? Post what you said again about the vortex and whatnot, Mary. That was I wanted to touch on that a little bit. But she had vortex tensor, vortex position, and you know, and that's essentially the 5 states. You know what I mean? That's the pyramid.
Yes, that's an important point. I think Wild Style Vlog says they send your horoscope to like the governments and the Vatican. They like will look at your horoscope when you're born. I thought that was true because in Britain they don't log your birth time when you're born. And if you try and find it out of the state, they're like, oh, we can't give you your birth time for astrological research. It's like, what the fuck? Like in America, they record it, you know? But I don't know. I think that's interesting anyway.
I find it interesting that we just heard the trumpet sound, you know, and how okay, get this. I just watched a video today about the Schwarzschild radius and the event horizon and the singularity and whatnot in black hole physics. Did you know the word Schwarzschild in English means black shield? Come on,
No, I
dude.
didn't.
That's
Sounds
crazy.
like German.
That's crazy. Yeah, but I mean, if you convert Schwarzschild into English, it means black shield. That's just
Oh.
wild, dude. You know, he's the one that came up with the event horizon and, you know, Schwarzschild radius, you know, and it's crazy, you know, because they used to call black holes the void or the death, or, you know, the portal to nowhere, or, you know, they had all kinds of different wordings for it, you know, just like everything else, you know, until it's becomes coined, you know, and Schwarzschild actually means black shield. So I thought that was pretty wild.
What's
But
the
if you think
relevance
about
of
it, the black hole concept, black hole physics is just like the house of bread, just like we are. We are an interface of the in and out. You know, the event horizon and the singularity are our world and us.
I don't
You know,
understand what you mean by that.
meaning that what we propagate, what we think, what we disseminate, what we put out into the world, it becomes what we intake. You know,
Oh yeah, of course.
it's the
Yeah,
loop.
that's so like yeah, what you think about, you bring about.
Yeah, man
Yeah.
is as he thinketh. Yes.
So you're talking about the Hermetic axiom of mentalism.
Correspondence. Yeah, the whole
No,
work
it's not.
actually.
Yeah, correspondence is a weird one, man. Correspondence is a very strange thing.
As above,
It's a
so
strange
below. Yeah.
phenomenon. You know, there's absolutely no like in contemporary science, they know nothing of the law of correspondence. I find that bizarre. They really don't know anything about it. I don't know. Understanding the law of correspondence is like your gateway to, well, magic and occultism, especially, but like just see, if you understand correspondence, it basically will tend to the understanding of how the solar system like will swirl archetypes around and change them and mingle the zeitgeist over time, but also that the 7 archons which people identify corresponding to the 7 planets, traditional planets, which they do, actually goes a level further in Arthur Young's work, which is the 7 kingdoms of creation. And
That's also the 7.
that's actually where the law of correspondence comes from. It's like, well, beyond the monad is like the kingdoms of creation. So yeah, it's very interesting. I find that
Backass Woods Weird World says there are ring inside of ring formations appearing in clouds throughout our skies. Black hole sun, Einstein ring refractions are appearing on clouds as if they were in movie scenes. Now, that in itself, I've experienced things that I've actually manifested in my own vision and actually caught on camera that I don't know if they were real or if it was something I projected there. But, you know, like that Sunrunner offshoot video that I got, where that thing was a vibrating diamond and it was on fire at one point and it turns into a vibrating diamond and it looks like a bird for a second, but then it's gone.
Hold on, I don't understand what you mean, Steve.
Meaning
You're gonna have to explain that again
There was
slowly.
once when I was, because I used to film the sky thinking Nibiru was coming to kill us, you know,
Okay.
that whole planet thing. And
Planet
you know,
X.
that was my moment of awakening, you know, because I thought it explained Noah's flood and all of the Bible stories, you know, the stuff of cataclysm of the Bible, right?
Right.
The flood,
Right.
you know, all of it. Well, it did, in essence, because Nibiru is a story of our ascension. You know, the place of crossing is within us. You know, Nibiru is the place of the crossing, the place where heaven and earth collide. You know, that's what horizon is, or Horus is the meeting of heaven and earth, or the meeting of the sky and earth. You know, at the horizon.
Well, that's the William Blake kind of theology, the marriage of heaven and hell, right?
Yeah, it's the same thing as
Yeah, no, it's just another way of describing it. Yeah.
Exactly, and that's what each one of us carries, that cross, you know, pick up your cross and carry it, means to me that we all are going to have our own cross to bear, you know, and that own cross to bear turns into eventually, because we are all going to get there. I don't care what anybody thinks, we are all going to see the light sooner or later, you know, and we all have our time, we all have our day. No one knows not, except for the one, and that's us all. And that's why when I first started my YouTube video, YouTube channel, I instinctually in comments wrote 1 for 1, 1 for 1, without even knowing what it meant, dude. I swear to you, I did.
Oh, what, 1 for all and all for one?
Yes, because the one is interchangeable from one and all, you know, because all for one, one for all. It's the oldest mantra known to man.
See, here's another thing, actually, on that point, something that I realized as well. I don't understand why pagans have such a hard time reconciling the monad with their whatever pantheon it might be that they believe in, because I think that monotheism and paganism or polytheism, what same thing, kind of one. They're exactly one in the same thing.
Yes,
like you have the monad, which is like the singular
absolute
aspect, but then, like you said, all for one and one for all. Like you then have the subdivision of the monad into what would be archetypes, right? And those archetypes they're deified in
7 houses of the Lord.
Well, not even like necessarily just 7 houses of the Lord, because like, so for example, there'll be a god of like agriculture, like
like Demeter,
Okay, yeah, that relates to one of the 7 planets, but like, and this is the law of correspondence. Every like archetype, the more diluted it becomes, even though it's still archetypal, like it will fit somewhere in the occult. It will fit, it will have its place, it will have its astrological correspondence, whether it's to a sign of the zodiac or a planet itself. Like, so love would be Venus, your siblings would be Gemini, your father would be Sagittarius or Capricorn. I can't remember what one it is. One of them.
Just like the planets.
Your mother's
and
Cancer.
all that stuff, right? Yeah.
Cancer's nurturing it. So this is my point. I don't understand why pagans aren't also monotheists as well. Like, because you have in Hinduism, they have this, because you have Vishnu, right? Vishnu is like God, right? And then you have Krishna, the in-between God, right? And you got Shiva, the destroyer, and God, what's the other one in their trinity?
Arjun?
No, Arjuna's the candidate in
he's the one that sees the light.
Yeah, no, he's like candidate, but no, not Arjuna. You got Vishnu.
Arjuna is like John, right? The Baptist.
Vishnu, Krishna. No, is it Vishnu, Krishna, and what's?
Well, it's like Ein Sof and Ein Sofar,
Oh,
right?
Yeah. It's the same thing. It's archetypal correspondence. So
Or Chakma, Bina, and Keter, or
right,
understanding, wisdom, understanding, and Bina, or wisdom,
I
understanding.
think
and reason.
I think it is Krishna, Vishnu, Krishna, and Shiva, or there might be another one. I can't remember. But anyway, my point is this. My point is I do follow a lot of pagan channels on YouTube and watch various pagans, and they always they love criticizing Abrahamic religion. They love it. Pagans do. Yes, Brahma. That's it, Mr. Men's Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Right? It's like, so you got Shiva the destroyer, Brahma the Logos, and Vishnu's God. Thank you, Mr. Mensa. I was trying to think of what it was. So yeah, in Hinduism, polytheism and monotheism is naturally reconciled. But I don't. I mean, I guess it is in other pagan pantheons, but I don't understand the slagging off of Abrahamic religion from pagans. I don't get why they do it. Maybe they must do it because they don't understand the anagogical symbolism of enlightenment. You know, that's the only point I was.
And the Trinity is what you're really getting at. The Trinity, which is the same.
Yeah.
But Brahma is born from the belly of Vishnu, right?
Well, you could say that. You could say that. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. You could say belly.
What is Brahmin?
Brahmin is a Brahmin is one who has seen Brahma.
Yeah. So that's the one who recreates the light. That's you or me.
Brahmin is an enlightened candidate.
You or me, an initiate, right?
So yeah, what was the question here? Am I talking about Deepak Chopra archetypal stories of God's qualities? Well, see, no, I don't know. Like, to answer that question, I haven't read any Deepak Chopra or studied his material in any great depth, but I'm just relating things in terms of archetypes, and my mind has an archetypal map of creation, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, like how somebody sees things in numbers and whatever, you see it in archetypes.
Yeah, but it's much more effective to see things in terms of archetypes.
In your mind.
Well, no, because like
yeah. Because I don't see it like that.
Archetypes are the division. It's like, look, the monad or God doesn't want to micromanage fucking everything in life. So the archetypes are like the wheels on the spokes on a wheel, to use that analogy again, that lead back to the monad.
Or there's the potions that you mix together to get a certain result. Yes.
Yeah, I don't like to go through life without thinking about life archetypally. I don't understand how that is a state of being, because it makes you're just like a very mundane. You're very easily manipulated if you can't think of things in terms of archetypes.
Right.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know.
That's I don't buy into the manipulation. Nobody can control me but me. Nobody can do anything unto me that I will not let onto myself. You understand?
Are you going to give your stimulus check back to Biden then?
Well, hell no, I'll spend that shit because whatever. It's free as it's me, whatever. I mean, it's part of the whole game. I don't care. It's all relative to me because I'm not here for money. Otherwise I'd be driving a fancy car. I'm driving a piece of shit truck that was given to me because I don't give a shit about my physical nature and what I have. All I care about is what I love and who I love and what comes of my love, and what I'm here for. Physically.
Well, that's what I was talking about yesterday, Steve.
Spoon of, sugar because to help the medicine go down because, it's hard to swallow this world if you think this world is everything there is.
Yeah.
That's
I just see a question from Black Illuminati. Can your will be broken? I mean, that's essentially what black magic is. It's like putting someone under your will and getting them to do something they wouldn't necessarily do, but they're tricked into doing it and thinking they have to do it. It's basically marketing is just black magic then.
exactly. It plays on our freaking our innate egoistic want to attain. That's exactly what it is. And think about that word. I thought about this it's funny you brought that up because addictive, advertisement, adhere, you know what I mean? So advertisement is, to add up, go up, and so you get addicted to whatever they're advertising and you want or you think you need that thing that they are advertising. You know what I'm saying?
I fucking hate adverts.
Yes.
That's
what our world is about.
When I hear an advert, I feel like a piece of my soul dies inside, and I got to quickly turn the radio off or whatever. I just, or I'll hear the advert and I'll say, no, fuck off. I don't want that product. Like,
right.
I don't know. I can't remember the last time I watched an advert and I was like, wow, I really want that. Was toy cartoons when I was a kid, like for Hot Wheels.
And that's when it starts, man.
Like, that's how they get you as a kid. They get,
think about
like,
that.
Hey,
that is important right there, what you just said, because that is when it starts. And that's when we think Santa Claus is not real, and that may sound mundane or just childish in its own right. But when you honestly understand that Santa Claus is a consumeristic, in the Western world, because Santa Claus actually is the story of the Christos and, the story of our ascension too, just like Nibiru is, just like every story in our freaking reality is. In essence, when you see the creator and everything that you read, see, look at, you can see that story in everything, dude. It's everywhere. Isn't everywhere.
Santa Claus like God coming down your?
No, Santa Claus is the whole chimney thing. What's the chimney? No,
yeah, but your chimneys, the chimney's obviously like the Kundalini, right?
The chakras.
So the fireplace, right, is going to be your heart, the fire of the desire in your heart, and Santa Claus comes down the chimney,
and the Christmas tree is,
and he leaves presents, right, which brings your heart joy. Yeah, and then Santa Claus goes back up the chimney and then flies off. So the whole story of Christmas is a commemoration of the crystals, of the illumination of the candidate or the tribulation.
And I got goosebumps.
And like, see, Wild Style says like Santa is an anagram of Satan. Yeah, that's true. But like we've discerned, like we know, Satan's not necessarily a bad thing, Well, I'm not oh, hell, Satan,
right? To our spiritual
highway to hell.
Not soul, it is. It's the enmity within us. Satan is the opposite of. That's when you tell Satan to get in the back seat because you're driving the bus and you is your true self, which is nothing.
Yeah. See, no, I need to make this point because I'm looking at what Black Illuminati is saying in the chat, and it's like, yeah, you can he's interpreting Santa Claus in like the Gnostic way, like, oh, it's evil, basically. Yeah, it's not like, good. But
the or the demiurge.
Yeah, but see, you have to understand that like Satan is not actually evil. It's just Satan is just like the opposer of God.
the opposer of God. So it's matter, which has no spirit in it.
Right there.
So it will fuck you up and have no care for your emotional well-being, because it's just like a computer simulation of the interaction of matter. It doesn't care what you think, you know.
You can equate Satan to our ego.
Yeah, it's gonna do what it does. But that's the thing, isn't it? Jesus and Satan are actually the same thing. That's like the
Lucifer and
deepest.
Satan, or Jesus, yes.
That's the deepest occult secret of Christianity, I would say. Like
The opposite ends of the bookshelf are still on the same shelf, and there's still one.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't know what he means by self-righteous. Am I being self-righteous, or is Santa self-righteous? I don't know what he means. He's gonna have to elaborate on that. But yeah, but that's the thing. And the other thing is, it's on Christmas Day, you know, so
Those elves are evil, though, Menza says. But we are the little elves in the story of making.
I want that hot chocolate. What's that
Right.
from? The elf that makes the hot chocolate.
My favorite Christmas time movie now is Elf with what's his name?
Yeah.
What's his name? He did.
It's still appropriate to talk about Christmas when you talk about mysticism, because it's like the one time of year where mysticism is celebrated, albeit unconscious to most people, you know.
And it's not. It's no coincidence. The solstice is right there.
That's why Christmas is magical, because it's that magic of the magic of. That's really what that's the thing in like all like grimoires I've got and all magic books. Like way back when, before the Inquisition, the goal of magic was to become enlightened. It was a system of enlightenment. And you go through all these Goetia demons, and then you can get to the angels, and then you can go through the hierarchy of angels till you get to God. And it's the same in the Chinese culture. It's the same in the Middle Eastern culture. It's not that's like more of a ceremonial magic, not like more folk magic kind of thing. But
well, you can think of there's ritualism, there's spiritualism, there's mysticism, and then there's what? Materialism.
But you see, you could say that our life, like embarking on the great work, is a ritual itself. You know, it's like, why can't we just complete the great work at a click of a finger? Why do we have to go through all these trials and tribulations to evoke the Spirit of God?
Because it is what it is.
Yeah, but surely there's a reason for that, though. And surely the reason for that is, you know, it's like, I guess the amnesia leads to like unbridled joy and felicity when, like, you know, because the matter is uncertain, and then you get the certainty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Through uncertainty, certain is certainly certain.
Yeah. So what were we going to talk about? We've been talking for an hour and 15 minutes, and we never established what we were going to talk about.
Well, so I think we're doing a fine good job of talking about just what we want to talk about, because we're talking about it.
Yeah. Is there
and that's essentially what the now is, right? Is just what is now, you know? And I had this conundrum. I was on Mattman's stream earlier, and I was talking about, well, okay, we're going to talk about the now. Well, what if they see a replay of your video? Well, it's going to be the now to them.
Yeah, no, Paula's just made a great point talking about coal in the stocking. Like that coal is symbolic. Okay, like physically, yeah, coal is a hydrocarbon with
coal is what a diamond comes from. Yes.
No, here's my point though. It's like the coal, like say, okay, you're a bad kid, so you get coal in your stocking, right? Mm-hmm. So like, yeah, first of all, a stocking you put on your feet. So that corresponds to Pisces, which is the bridge. That Pisces is basically the underworld between heaven and hell, right? And then the coal is like black, so it's like death. So it's like it's like you need to reincarnate again, because you're still on the path, and you still have things to learn and accumulate and recombine whatever. So you get coal. I just realized that when Paula mentioned that in the chat.
Well, like, what is a diamond? What is a diamond? A diamond is pressurized clay. right? Through time and stress and pressurization, a diamond becomes what a diamond is. Just
Yeah.
like with this clay, I will build my pyramid, These sigils are submitted.
Yes, this person's 6119 is right. Sigils are absolutely subliminal, and there is nothing evil about them. Although you could create a sigil for malintention. It's a sigil is neutral. It depends on the intention of the beholder or the operator behind the sigil.
Yeah, it's like runes, right?
I can show you this. So that's
Is a sigil like a rune?
Yeah, I'm not into runes. I'm into with my Irish ancestry, but I can show you this pentagram.
Yeah, that star, that pentagram right there. I used to think it was evil.
Right, I can do that, and it's suddenly evil. It's no, it's just a different angle.
Right.
So, yeah. But yeah, all right. Are we going to keep going any longer, or are we going to call
whenever
it
you feel
quits there?
content, brother? I will. I will go.
Yeah, I was going to eat some food before we started chatting, but I never did. I need to get some dinner, but I can wait a bit. I'm not going to cook tonight.
Backass Woods World says guns don't kill people, and I think he's going to finish it off with people kill people.
People kill people.
Right, and I would totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is nice to see you here, Gerald. I haven't seen you for a while. I'm glad you could join us. You too, Scratch. Magic squares to sigil.
Magic squares is a purely Kabbalistic phenomena.
Yeah.
Magic squares are pretty cool, though.
Kabbalism now, I just realized how Kabbalists are, the ones that, that I've been, hanging around with and, need to know that joins us every now and then, how they, I don't know if they think there is a God and a creator, or just that God is the creator. You understand what I mean? You know what I mean by that, right?
Yeah, no. But see, when people say the creator, they attribute that to God, but God, the creator, is the product of God.
God and us.
That causes a lot of confusion out there,
Yes.
definitely. But yeah, back on, someone was talking about magic squares. I find these magic squares fascinating. Can I share my screen? Will it work?
Yes, you can.
So here's a magic square of Mars. So because Mars is the fifth Sephiroth, it's a 5x5 magic square, and the numbers are converted into Hebrew. So the sum of all the numbers is 325, which yields Graphael, the spirit of Mars in Hebrew, and also it yields the word Barzabel, which would be the demon of Mars in Hebrew. I just find that amazing. And yeah, the sigils will go through. They'll basically you just connect the dots to make the different symbols. That's crazy. That the phenomena of magic.
That's the first time I've ever been introduced to that.
Yeah, the phenomena of magic squares with respect to Kabbalah is a real crazy phenomenon. That's the law of correspondence on fucking steroids. That is what I just demonstrated. And yeah, no.
I just find it funny that the sevens in our world, the five, through. See, this is how if I wanted to describe it in a numeric way, I would say through the seven. Or through the process of five, the seven is realized, which creates the eight, and then it all becomes the nine. If you can.
Yes, they call it the eighth mystery in Gnosticism, and also in Hinduism. Krishna is called the eighth avatar of Vishnu. So when you go beyond the seven archons of Gnosticism, you get to the eighth, to be Krishna. And that's very interesting because all the religions are the same. Here, let me share my screen again. So like another phenomena that like a lot of people don't understand, like where order of the days of the weeks from.
Yep.
So like, let me share.
Well, in
this.
ancient days too, like you before when we were talking about the seven, they had 7 planets. You know that they.
Well, it's totally Kabbalistic. It's
Yeah.
complete Kabbalistic. So like, right, here's the planets. Can you see this website?
Yes,
The
sir.
planetary hours. So it follows the descending order of the tree of life. So we're on Wednesday today, but here, so you've got Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Sun, Venus, Mercury, Moon. And this pattern repeats: Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Sun, Venus, Mercury, Moon, right?
You see how the sun has
So
the dot in the middle?
the first hour of the day is the Mercury hour, Wednesday, ruled by Mercury. And so we go 3-4 hours from Mercury. The next hour is going to be Jupiter, basically. So we're on the first hour of Wednesday is the Mercury hour, following the Kabbalistic descending pattern. The last hour is Saturn. So the first hour of the next day is going to be Thursday, which is ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter will be the first hour of that day. So the orders of the week is purely from Kabbalah, like, and the Chaldean, or also D&D, right? And like, I don't understand how that's not common knowledge.
Is
Why
this
is
how
that
you factor in your birth chart when you were born? What hour you were born in?
Yeah, you can look at your planetary hour when you're born. It have some significance. I don't really know how to interpret that. Like, does that make sense, Steve? So, like, let me go.
You lost me at. No, it doesn't make sense to me.
All right, let me
I
explain
don't follow
again.
that. I don't.
So you
I'm
got
confused.
Monday's
I'll
ruled
admit
by
it.
the moon. Tuesday ruled by Moon. Wednesday's Mercury. Thursday is Jupiter. Friday's Venus. Saturn is Saturday. Sunday is the sun, right?
Mhm.
And in French, when you think about it, lundi is Monday, lunar. Mardi, Mars, Tuesday. Mercredi, Mercury, Wednesday. Jeudi, Jupiter. And Vendredi, Venus. And then Saturday and Sunday is kind of obvious in English,
Mhm.
right? So each day of the week has its planetary ruler, right? Has its inner archon ruler. I call so.
Well, it's the loop.
Like I said, so
the template, right?
the first hour of light on a day, right? So the first hour of light on a Wednesday is going to be ruled by Mercury.
And Mercury is Thoth.
No, Mercury. Well, yeah, but Mercury is, yes, it is Thoth, but basically from that hour, the first hour, you descend the order of the planets on the tree of life for every subsequent hour.
Oh, so the template is broke down into hours of the day as well as the days of the week.
Yeah. So basically, if we're on Wednesday, the last hour will be ruled by Saturn. So the hour after Saturn is Jupiter. So that's why Thursday comes next after Wednesday, because the first hour on a Thursday is going to be, let me change the date. Friggin' hell, I want to change the date. How do I change the date on this crap?
We were just about to click it 3-4. Because you have it on 3-3 there.
Day. Okay, so we got Thursday, right?
Yep.
Jupiter's now the third day. And we go follow the descending order of the planets in Kabbalah. The last hour on a Thursday is the sun. So the next hour, the first hour of the Friday, will be Venus. So if I go to the next day.
Okay, so now what is the overall encompassing point of what you're trying to make?
My point is this, is that, like, if you say to a random, like, secular person, where do the order of the days of the week come from? And they will not be able to answer that question. Okay, so the first hour on Friday is Venus. Follow that pattern down. The last hour is the moon. The next hour will be Saturn for the first hour on Saturday.
So what, in your opinion, what is the first day of the week then?
I don't know. It's either Saturday or Sunday. It depends if you're looking for the the satanic dark demiurge Gnostic
Physical
version,
world
or
the
the Savior Christian Christ
Yeah.
version. It's Saturday or Sunday.
That's funny, isn't it?
Pick one for the Sabbath. Both
Isn't
are
that funny?
appropriate. Let's say the Sabbath begins at midnight on Saturday. I don't know.
I find it amazing that
no, back to your question. Sorry, my overall encompassing point is that the order of the days of the week, the 7 days of the week, it all comes from Kabbalah. It all comes from Jewish mysticism.
right.
Like the reason why it's going to be Thursday tomorrow is because of Kabbalah and the law of correspondence. Like there's
Right there,
no
yeah.
escaping that fact.
The template.
I've just shown it unequivocally. And you say that to a secular person. If I sat Richard Dawkins down and say, hey, Richard, why do the days of the week occur in the order that they do? He would not be able to answer that question. And if I show
I
it,
even be able to answer that question until now. But
well, yeah, I know. But
and I still struggle doing it.
yeah, but you're not a secular fundamentalist evangelical atheist. So I'm just picking on atheists, man. But yeah, I just wanted to show that because I think that's very interesting about how the days
even the atheist has the right to be an atheist because it's the path that they're on, and it's a path that they need to go on and find within themselves that is probably probably not right for them. But I'm not. Who am I to say anything is not right for anybody?
Yeah. Hey, Paula says she'd share a link to my channel if she had a wrench, Steve. LOL, wink, wink.
If she had a wrench.
Yeah, Ali says this line with palmistry too. Yes, it does. See, we are in the realm of the law of correspondence here. This is why you need to think of things in terms of archetypes, because then you have a mental map of the cosmos and you can navigate it. You know, I couldn't imagine, like, when I was like 15 or a kid, obviously I didn't think of the world like this, but I couldn't imagine not thinking of the world in terms of archetypes and the law of correspondence now.
See, maybe I do look at the world in terms of archetypes, but I see it as I see it as a different thing in my mind, like the template, and how everything is reiteration of that template. Like you could say the 7 races, the 7 days of the week, the 7 continents, the 7 seas, 7, and the process is the 5, the process of how you turn information into understanding, or clay.
I always thought of information like this. Information's like data, right?
Yeah,
it's
like
just
clay.
Points of data. Like I can give you a database of all this data, but like when you see, this is the data that they buy on Wall Street and stuff, right? They buy our data. It's just data. But to do the analytics and find the patterns in the data, that's like the knowledge and the understanding. Do you know what I mean? And obviously it's used for manipulative purposes, the example I give. But yeah. Hey, Mary's saying I could go and eat and we can continue later. I don't know.
Yeah, if you're hungry, dude.
You always got to leave your audience wanting more.
Well, no, I'm not in it for that, and I'm in it just.
I'm joking.
I am not. I do not claim anybody as my audience. I do not. I'm not going to do that, and I'm not going to. I appreciate every single one of them, and I appreciate anybody who watches this because they're finding their own way through the now, and the now is all we have. Fuck yesterday because it's gone, and screw tomorrow because it ain't here yet. Live in the now.
Here's another point though. This is a Ken Wheeler quote, and it's a good Ken Wheeler quote. He said, "Samsara is an infinite chain, unbroken chain of the now." And he's right. It is, but that's basically time and timelessness being one and the same and not being one and the same at the same time.
And that's what we are in the dichotomy of existence, is the polarity of the oneness that is broken up to create the polarity, which it's the chicken and the egg scenario. Which came first? That whole thing. Right? I mean, it's those things that in which I try to wrap my mind around, and the more I try to wrap my mind around, the less I know about it. And that's the beautiful thing about it. For forever the mountain grows as thy climbs the mountain of truth. You know, the truth will
Yeah,
never.
that's the exploration of the infinite,
Yes.
because it goes on for forever. So
Yes.
yeah.
For the goal, how is it that the goal is ever? I can't remember the axiom or the maxim, but yeah,
What's that from? The Upanishads or something?
I think so. Where the mountain grows ever higher as. Or wait, hang on, I can find it right here. I think it's in this book. Where is
Truth can ruin your life. I think it's supposed to ruin your life.
what?
Well, Takei 69 or 6119. So I'm joking. He says, "Careful out there. Truth can ruin your life." But I'm sure that, like, the closer that you get to deity and like true wisdom, like the harder life gets, the more difficult it gets, the more challenges and adversity is thrown at you. You know,
Isn't that the what is it called?
it's not a bed of roses, and that's totally contradictory to like New Age beliefs. It's that, like, the more spiritual you are, the like more your mundane life is ameliorated. It's absolutely the opposite. I said this to a homeless guy. I bought this homeless guy some cigarettes and water, and he was tweaking on meth down at 7-Eleven a few weeks ago. And I told him that. I gave him $20 as well. He probably spent it on meth, but I gave him like, I bought him some water and some cigarettes and gave him $20 for meth. So, you know, he was a happy camper. He was sorted. And I said to him, hey, the more difficult and struggle your life is, the like closer you were moving to God. And this like dude just like looked at me like, and I saw like a wave of relief in his face when I told him that. And he was like, is that why my life's all fucked up? Because like, I was like, well, I don't know, but possibly. He kind of like started crying, and I gave him a hug, but I couldn't hug him too much because he was like tweaking and shit. So like, you ever tried to hug a tweaker?
Oh yeah, yes I have. And they don't stay still because they're jibbing and jabbing.
Yeah, they're jibbing and jabbing around. Yeah,
I call them twitching. You know, but yeah. For the one who struggles and toils the utmost is the one closest to liberation. Yep.
Yeah.
And that's the case because when you're at your lowest point, you're seeking the answer that is the truest.
Mm.
And you're open to anything other than the suffering you're in. And you know, people would say, well, that's obvious because you know you're grasping at straws. Think of will, but you know, when you're puking in the toilet, you're praying to the porcelain god. You're saying, hey, I don't want to put up with this, you know, please help me through this, you know. And isn't it funny how we always reach that point of, you know, please help me through this. I'll never do it again. You know, that whole thing when we're at our worst. Think about that.
Yeah, that's a comment from Gerald. It's called The Weight of the World. Yeah, that's true. But it's also, it's not the weight of the world. It's like the weight of nature, you know, being nature and just executing its function as it does. The indifference of nature can really get
gateway to power is secret, but he who attains shall receive. Look to the light, O my brother, open and ye shall receive. Press on through the valley of darkness, overcome the dweller of night. Keep ever thine eyes to the light plane, and thou shalt be one with the light. What do you think about
something I can read here?
Of one with the light. Do you feel like you're going to lose your self-identity? Do you feel like you're going to become oblivious in a samsara of sun? You know what I mean? Is it going to be?
Oh man, I just opened this book of This is Jacob Burma, Mysterium Magnum, Volume 2. I just opened this like random chapter, and it basically he's talking about the point that we're arguing here about, like the weight of the world and hardship leading to truth. But he says, and now when it comes to be thus, then reason goes truly a wandering in great sorrow and desertion with Joseph in the wilderness, every way in distress, and yet he must perform his father's commandment and will. But God forsaketh not Joseph, but sendeth him to comfort, show him the way to his brethren, as happened to Joseph when he was wandering in the wilderness. That is, he sendeth to him a truly zealous Christian who knoweth his ways and comfort him, exhorting him to preserve constantly in the ways of God. I don't know if that did relate to what we were saying, but yeah. These books are amazing, man. Jacob Burma. I'd highly recommend anyone to get them. Mysterium Magnum 1 and 2.
Wisdom is hidden
on Ken Wheeler's recommended list as well.
Yes, he has.
Yeah.
Wisdom is hidden in darkness when lit by the flame of the soul. Find thou the wisdom of the and be the light born, a son of the light without form. Seek thee ever more wisdom. Find in the heart of the flame. Know that only by wisdom, or only by striving, can light pour into thy brain. Now have I spoken with wisdom. List to my voice and obey. Tear open the veils of the darkness. Shine a light on the way. You know, and this book is the simplest book, and it's the thinnest book, and it's taught me, or it's brought more inquiry into my mind about what is and what isn't, because what isn't can be the biggest what is. You know, if you search that isn't.
Hey, you should upgrade to this book, man. Pistis Sophia. This book is tough.
Yeah, I can read that stuff and
really
fathom it, but
hard to interpret accurately. It's like, oh God, what are they talking about?
It's so hard, dude.
I know. It's
like the first time I read Poimanders, you know, it was like, what the hell is this about? You know?
Yeah.
When I first started studying this stuff, that was one of the first things I picked up was, you know, the Poimanders by, you know, Hermes Trismegistus, whatever, you know, and Hermes Trismegistus is what? Is God.
See, that's the thing. You think that the divine Poimanders was God, but it's not God.
No, it's not God. I used to think that it's the light.
It's the product of God. Yeah.
Yes. And I used to think it was God, you know. And it was because of the divine effulgence and how it's worded, and you know, I never had, until I met Phil, I never even knew there was a difference between the Creator and God, you know. But then when I heard that, it's goosebumps through my whole body right now when I'm talking about this.
See, this is a good point from the last person puts. Don't get too wrapped up in the Emerald Tablets. Although they're one of my favorite books to read, you have to keep in mind that the authenticity just isn't there. But that is the point, like, it doesn't matter if it's authentic from Thoth or not,
right?
Because it's like in Rosicrucianism, the myth of Christian Rosenkreutz, this enlightened guy that was buried that didn't actually exist. You know, in a lot of these systems, and even in
John Doe,
it's even with Jesus. Like, I still doubt if actually Jesus existed, and
I don't think he existed either.
It's all metaphorical and allegorical. It's not like
Atlantis.
Yeah, it's not the focus on the authenticity of the messenger.
Or relative versus the absolute. Yes,
it's what is important is the message of the messenger. You know.
Yeah, we both seen Crowley and we had to read that.
Yeah.
And that is the truest of truisms, is to know thyself. And I want to add one word to that, is know thy true self. you know,
Mm.
and thy true self is the one self, yourself, myself. And that's the whole, that is how we are all connected, because we all inherently know we are all from the same cloth. We are all cut from the same loin, you know, we are all there. We all know this, instinctually know this. And
Yeah,
why do we
not
know this?
woke people.
Huh?
Not woke people. They're going against that fact. Anyway, we don't need to talk about them. But
All
anyway,
right, brother.
on that note, Steve, I think I'm gonna wrap it
Yep,
up.
I
because
just
I need to
sensed
get
that, and I
dinner.
was just gonna say, hey, take it easy and go get some food, brother.
Yeah, I'm gonna get some dinner and
Keep your
yeah,
chin up,
no,
man.
thanks
No matter how
to
dark it
everyone
gets,
who
know that I'm here.
watched.
You can call me anytime.
To say it doesn't matter. No, hold on. That's not the point.
Maya L is a real deep
Maya
thinker.
L's missed the point. The point is that it doesn't matter. It's not the messenger you need to focus on. It's the message. It's the message that they give you. That's the point I'm trying to make.
and how
Don't focus
they
on the messenger and his influence. Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Initiate. All right. I'm gonna get going.
I was just
and-
going to try to explain to you how Maya, I don't know if you're familiar with Maya L and how deep they think, but I mean, he's pretty
Yeah.
deep thinker.
Yeah.
But I appreciate all you guys. Thanks for joining us, guys. Gerald, Scratch, Maya L, Code, Dean's in the building, Paula. You know, I appreciate every one of you. Allie Berry, Allie's a star. You should check out her singing with what is it, Kobe, or not Kobe, Corey Richardson and Allie Berry. When they get together, they're called aces, I think.
Yeah.
Excuse me if I'm
Cool.
not, but I mean, I shared her channel on my channel the other day. Mr. Michelle Seymour, I'm glad you're here, sweetheart. Tell Reyes I said hi. Mike in Florida, I'm glad you joined us. Scratch. Paula, Black Illuminati, I think I mentioned you. Penny Pocket, I'm glad you were here. Thanks everybody for joining. And you know, Menza, I'm glad you guys are all with us, and you know, your journey can parallel my journey, but your journey is yours, mine is mine, and we will all get there in time, you know, because we are all part of the source and we are all one, and one for all for one. So with that, love, peace, chicken grease.